What is the role of Japan going to be in this wealth transfer? That will be the topic of today's video. It looks like Japan is laying the foundations of the potential wealth transfer, and it also looks like Japan is going to be the one that is first going to be cracked and is first going to show signs of breaking down before we are going to see that in the rest of the world. Guys, in today's video we are going to have a look at some articles. We talk about Japan, of course, and its position in this wealth transfer. We are going to have a talk about a prophetic vision or dream from Now Daily Bread, and I also want to show you guys two pieces of paper which will explain to us a little bit more where our position is in this wealth transfer and how we can navigate it, and what our mindset and perspective should be. Okay, so let's start off with, of course, Japan. And I made some notes because it's actually pretty big, and we're also going to have a look at the article, but Japan is a very key player in the global markets. And to explain it very simply, you got to see it like this. Japan has very low interest rates, and because Japan has very low interest rates, the yen is pretty cheap. So they have a system where they use the yen to invest in global markets and generate a yield or generate a profit, right? This is where Japan actually is a very big liquidity provider to the global markets, and of course especially the US markets. Japan also is the biggest holder of United States debt. Japan holds more than $1 trillion in American debt, right? So they are very much invested in the US dollars, and this is where things get a little bit tricky, because the United States has, of course, a crazy high national debt. The clock continues to tick. To pay off that debt, they have to most likely devalue the dollar. They can never pay the debt completely off if you do not devalue the dollar, because debt is always based on interest. So the amount of debt will always be higher than the amount of dollars that are in circulation in this world. That's the crazy part of the structure that we are living in, that the structure is really set up to benefit a few, but to have a disadvantage for the whole world, because everyone is forced to be in a rat race, because we are forced to pay something back which cannot be paid back. But if you think about it like this, and you look at the system, and it is a US dollar system, and you would devalue that dollar insanely, right? You would hyperinflate it. The value of the dollar will be like, you're going to crash that own dollar. You're going to have something else, another system that has to be blown up in value, right? And then you can say, okay, this system that has been blown up in value, that can be, of course, crypto, right? That has been blown up in value will stand as the collateral for that debt, because it's worth even more. And that is a way how you can change how you can actually pay off the debt, by creating something and inflate the value of debt. But you got to think like this as well, because if Japan sees that the dollar is weakening, or the dollar is weakening, which will happen because that's the only way to get out of this debt, the first thing that Japan will do is they will take out their positions from the US markets. They will need to pay back the loans they have on the Japanese yen, because most likely the value of the Japanese yen then will increase. So you got to see it like this. You have very cheap yen, right? You borrow it. You pay, you all buy this US stocks, US bonds, US debt. Then suddenly the dollar weakens, the yen becomes stronger. You gotta sell these positions to pay back the loans you have on the yen. And that can either be the yen getting stronger, but that might also be when the interest rates of the Bank of Japan goes up. I'm not really sure about that, but these are possible scenarios. But here you can already see how they are interlinked with one and another. So once they take out the cash from the US markets, right, that will create a very big shock in global, for sure global, because Japan is one of the biggest economies in the world. And you got to see it like this as well. The structures in this world, are not really, on a global scale, are not that efficiently built if you look, for example, in terms of liquidity, right? So if you have crypto, right? Crypto, you have, you can take maybe some liquidity from there, you can move it from there. There is not much liquidity in crypto still, but it's relatively easy to move it around, right? But the global liquidity, this is way more different. You have all types of different banks, you have all systems. So when you want to get liquidity from there and then put it in there, like this will take time. So this will only create more chaos. So therefore, what I'm trying to say is, like, if Japan withdraws or takes out the US assets that they have and the yen becomes stronger, they have to, of course, invest into something else. Probably they will they will hold for a period of time, gonna hold the yen. But eventually, guys, and this is where the groundwork has been laid now, eventually, most likely, they will go into crypto assets. Japan Virtual and Crypto Asset Exchange, they actually published a green list with 30 cryptos. This is actually very interesting, which Japanese people can buy. This has been done recently. And they can buy it with a certain tax benefit. The same tax benefit that they would have, for example, with US stocks. Now that means that the regulations for big Japanese investors and Japanese institutions the foundation is already laid out. So for them, it would be very easy to just say, we take out the liquidity from the US markets and we put part of, maybe a big part of it, we're going to look for safety in crypto. And it's already happening in a certain way that I'm going to share with you. But one thing that I do want to share with you too, which is very interesting, is that on this green list of cryptos, where you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, probably Solana, I don't know the whole list, but the best, biggest, most safe, most secure crypto tokens, there is one meme token, one. That is Shiba Inu. So Shiba Inu is the only meme token on this green list, which means that it is in the same list as Bitcoin and Ethereum. I find that pretty crazy. So right now you can, for example, buy Shiba Inu in Japan, regulated with the tax benefits you normally have when you would invest in the stock market, right? This is also known as the carry trade. The carry trade with having the interest rates of the yen very low, then borrow the yen and buying US stocks, buying US assets, But if that, and that's the whole thing, if that is going to reverse because of the weakening of the dollar, then you get all this liquidity flowing back to Japan. It needs to find safety, probably because the framework is already there, the rails are already laid out. Probably a lot of that goes in crypto, and we can see, and this is something we're going to dive in the first news article. This is Japan is laying the groundwork of a massive digital economy. And now we are looking at this article, XRP and the Global Financial Reset, Bridging Japan's Reverse Carry Trade Challenge. So the Japan connection, SBI Holdings and institutional adoption. Who is SBI? SBI Japan, officially SBI Holdings, is a major Japanese internet-based financial conglomerate providing services in securities, banking, insurance, asset management, and now it becomes very interesting, biotech. Biotech, does that ring a bell? Mark of the beast. So the crazy thing with this is that the CEO of SBI Holdings, has championed the adoption of the XRP ledger. So he's definitely pro XRP for cross-border payments, with plans to integrate it across a significant portion of Japan's banking sector. So here you can really see that the institutional attitude towards crypto is definitely very pro in Japan, but especially towards XRP. And it will make sense the further we go into this article. They talk a little bit about the stablecoin, Ripple USD. Then the carry trade that we just talked about, the yen carry trade has been a major source of global liquidity for decades. It's a strategy where investors borrow the low interest yen and invest that capital into higher yielding assets globally, such as US bonds, emerging market debt, or risk assets like crypto. But crypto is just recently that they are able to do so. Then you have the reverse scenario. The reverse carry trade is the forced rapid unwinding of the strategy. It is triggered when the interest rate differential narrows significantly, or more accurately, if the Bank of Japan unexpectedly begins to tighten monetary policy and raise rates. You can also, guys, think of that as a strategic move from Japan. So either the dollar will be devalued, or the Bank of Japan can predict, hey, I think the United States is going to devalue the dollar. We are going to, for example, increase interest rates to increase the value of the yen, so for the investors to get out of these dollar investments. This is just pure speculation, but I don't know in what way Japan and the United States would be working together, because of course, in this world, with a new world order, so they are also often working together. It's just not really clear how this relationship is, and I do not have enough knowledge about that. And I think if you're not in the inner circle, it's impossible to know. But I could see these scenarios where you have, of course, a Bank of Japan thinking like, yeah, but of course the US national debt, the only way to get out of it is to devalue the dollar. We have a lot of dollars. Japan has a very good economical stance. It has a very high assets to GDP ratio. So to save that, for the country to be safe, I could see the Bank of Japan, for example, like raising interest rates just to make sure that less money from less Japanese money is in the US markets, or the country is holding less US assets, and maybe even like offloading the debt, right? Because Japan is holding more than $1 trillion debt. So the unwind, when the yen is expected to strengthen, investors must sell their foreign assets like US treasuries or equities and buy back the yen to repay their loans, right? The global impact, this mass repatriation of capital can cause a liquidity shock across global markets, a margin call on a global scale. That is a margin call for the regular financial markets, not necessarily for crypto, although we do have these visions and prophecies where we've heard that there is this 24-hour window, so that, for example, everything collapses and then in a 24-hour window, like crypto goes up again. Like that something like that could actually happen with a global margin call, actually. So how XRP assists in the financial reset? Well, this is where it becomes very interesting. Traditional cross-border payments rely on the time-consuming system where banks must pre-fund accounts in multiple foreign currencies to facilitate transactions. That's what I was saying. You have these liquidity problems, right? If you work on a global scale and you have all these individual systems, you're going to run into liquidity problems. Then you have speed, cost, efficiency as well. And this is something I really have to, give from my own experience using XRP. XRP definitely has been one of the easiest tokens that I've personally used in order to transact. So when I'm using it from exchanges, the sending for XRP is just really fast. The transaction speed, let's say it like that, it's really fast. So yeah, this is the article. I will leave a link to this article down below, guys. Then, of course, I will still want to show you Shiba Inu makes Japan's green list passing as Bitcoin, Ethereum level cryptocurrency. It's just interesting because Shiba Inu kind of like might be a Japanese dog, right? But I think so. It's a popular dog in Japan, but this is the only meme token. And again, it's also a prophetic token, but it's the only meme token in the list, in the green list of the cryptocurrencies in Japan that Japanese people and institutions can buy with that tax benefit. So then, guys, we have this YouTube channel. Of course, if you are not subscribed to Sharon from Now Daily Bread, definitely subscribe to Sharon, because she shares already for years a lot of things that are going to happen during this wealth transfer, and a lot of things already came to fruition. So definitely a very good source when it comes to prophetic insights. But she also talked about Japan. So she said she dreamt in Japan, she dreamt about the embassy of Japan, repeatedly sees themselves at that embassy, attending official events, and then the party ends, something like that. The Japanese security says the party ends at 9:30. It's probably not a coincidence that it's Japanese. The dreamers of Sharon thinks that the 9:30 might be the 30th day of the 9th Jewish month, which this year falls on December 20. Again, that's pretty interesting with the Christmas time frame, because we have these prophetic insights or prophecies about a Christmas wealth transfer. And I got a comment the other day, guys. Someone said, yeah, but we're thinking this every Christmas. And I know a lot of these prophecies are already out for a couple of years. So do with it what you want to do, right? Like, follow your own gut in that. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not here to convince everybody. I don't see that as my position. I'm not here to convince. So if you don't believe it, then yeah, you don't do anything with it, right? All good. But if you do think there is something more to it, then you might want to take action. Action is going to be very important, which we will talk about in a second. But she thinks that it might be correlating with December the 20th. Sharon highlights that this timing might align with a Japanese financial event, possibly the end of a carry trade era or rate decision that triggers a market shift. She also sees this happening. And this is very interesting, because if we have a global collapse, right, or if we have the devaluation of the dollar, then the first crack in the dam, the first crack in the system probably is going to be Japan. So Japan, if the dollar will collapse, which I believe it will happen sooner or later, when the dollar will collapse, the first crack, big crack in the system, or maybe even the trigger to really get it down, will be Japan, because of all the reasons that I just mentioned. Now, I made yesterday 2 drawings that I want to share with you guys, and let me think which drawing I actually want to do first. I want to do this drawing first, so I hope you guys can see it right here. But this is you, potentially you, as a person standing right now in front of a crossroad. The world is going to change as we know it, and crazy things are going to happen. You sense that, you feel that, otherwise you are not watching this video till this very moment, right? So what you can do, you can walk the path that you've always have walked in your life, and you can believe the things maybe that you that are known to you, so that you do not easily believe things that you've never seen or that you never experienced, right? The known path, right? That might be that is a known path, but we are living in a world where the known path, because the world that we know it is going to change dramatically. So in the world where we're going, we don't know yet how that world is going to look, and how we exactly have to walk a certain path. We can't see the results in that new world, because we don't have any reference to it, because the old world is the things that we know, and we do not bring that into the new world, right? So what I'm trying to say right here is that if you follow the known path, you will be trapped in the density, right? But if you follow your new path, a new path to the new world, you have a very unique opportunity to position yourself. But you have to walk in faith. You have to walk a path where you cannot see the end. So that's the scary thing. But that's also the risk that you are taking, the spiritual risk that you are taking. But yeah, also another thing, in the trap density, you can see the result. We see the result. You can just put on the news, right? You can put on the news, and all the agendas, they will tell to you exactly what they are planning to do. That is That is the known world. This world will trap you. We have to go to a state where we can actually walk in faith, believe in miracles, and follow our inner guidance and intuition, even though in the known world it doesn't make any sense, or it might you cannot explain it in the known world, because we have to forget a little bit about that known world, right? That known world is collapsing. That new world where we are entering in is a world that we don't know yet. So we got to take a leap of faith. We got to walk in faith without seeing the complete result. Also, I do think, do not calculate, and I'm talking to myself here as well, because I'm definitely an overthinker. Don't calculate or overthink. Walk in the right direction with faith. And this is, for example, what I'm trying to say with positioning yourself. I'm going to show you the other drawing first, and then I want to say another thing. So this is another drawing, right? This is, again, you. You are going to get, if you position yourself, a certain spiritual input. And a spiritual input also has material effect, like wealth. Wealth transfer is, again, if you position yourself correctly, a spiritual input, energetic input, which will be structured through your system, through your physical actions, and which you then eventually can lead into other directions. Guys, and this is what I want to say about this as well. It is an honor to be placed in such a position. We honor it by disciplining and aligning ourselves with our purpose. A very good example is, for example, the Ark of Noah, right? Noah was building the boat without seeing the storm, right? He had to take a leap of faith by building the boat, but you also have to position yourself. So let's say in that new world, right? In that new world, we can already see a lot of problems occurring, right? And we right now on this channel, of course, mostly talk about the financial problems. But let's just make a very easy analogy to get my point across. So let's say you know for a fact that there will be like a lot of salt water in a country where you're living in, right? There will be a lot of salt water. You know that that's coming, right? So if you want to take advantage of that, you are going to study or going to start a company where you can restore things that have been undergoing water damage or salt water damage. So you are reading books about how to restore wood when it's damaged by salt water, or how to restore certain metals when it's damaged by salt water. You read about it, you learn about it, right? You create a company, right? You have all the structures in place. You maybe need some materials. You maybe want to have your office in a certain way. You position yourself because you know this is coming, and then once it's coming and that water comes, your position in the society will completely change. Because before you were preparing, after the situation happens, you are in a very honorable position where you suddenly can help your whole community with, fixing the stuff or the damage that they have been undergoing through the waters. And this is just an easy example, but this is the same thing with you being a proxy or helping with the restructuring of the wealth, right? And this is also why you have to be strategic. So you have to combine both of these things. You have to walk in faith, and walking in faith would be indeed reading books, learn about it, meditate, pray, set up a company, get a financial advisor, learn about how this technology works, because with that knowledge, you position yourself to be in a certain position in, or maybe more, after the storm. And that is what you want to do, because that is truly an honor. It is actually a very big blessing. And like I said in my previous video as well, if you do not structure it good, then the blessing will not be a blessing, because that blessing might be able to get you in trouble. So Another thing that comes along with this is, of course, strategically, you also should be spiritually strategic in the sense of like having a good look at your habits, right? What is my inner world looking right now? Are there any habits in this life, in my daily life right now that I'm bouncing to, that I know are not good for me, but I have a difficult time let go. I would say right now is the time to let go of these things, because you will put, this is the reward. You put yourself in a position, and you can only stand in that position when you have structured yourself in multiple dimensions, spiritually, but also materially. These all are combined, right? Because when you structure it correctly, and you have a peace of mind, you expect things to come, you have contacts that are already ready, you are prepared. You don't have to have everything figured out, because we cannot see the end result, right? But you have to walk that path like it is happening. And you know, for example, that if it's happening, you need to prepare certain things, because although you cannot see the end result, you know that you can prepare something, right? You know what you have to do probably, and you probably know that even better when you take away distractions from your life, sit more silent, then the inner voice, the inner guidance, intuition will become louder anyway. So that would also be a good practice to do. And right now is the right time, guys. Right now is really the right time. I really can, you can compare it, for example, with if you have, for example, this is maybe a little bit of a rough example, but I cannot think of a different example right now. Let's say you have like a very person that is very dear to you, right? Maybe it's a relative, maybe it's your best friend. And you know that that friend has one day to live, right? That friend has maybe one day to live. So, and you want to spend that day, of course, together. Then during that day, you will probably be willing to do anything, right? You'll be willing to put away your political ideas. You'll be willing to put away your pride. You'll be willing to put away your ego, just to be in that moment with the last hours with this person, right? You will have a very loving attitude. You're willing to put all of these things away, because you know it really counts right now. This moment really counts. And I think that that attitude would be the best attitude to have in these times. These times are very important, and these times really count. They are very, very important, and you feel that as well. So let's approach them with a similar mindset, that we have this chance right now. We are very honored to have this chance, and let's just make the best of it. That's just what I'm trying. Let's make the best of it. Let's look at ourselves in a critical way. Let's see where can we improve, which things might feel a little bit scary, but I know I have to do. Can I just take this leap of faith, and can I just do that? These are the real questions I believe we have to ask ourselves, because the foundations are being laid. We can see everything unfolding. And we are also looking at the physical manifestations. We are looking at the unfolding of this whole thing. Expect it. That's just what I'm trying to say. Expect it. And I can talk about it for a very long time, but I think I got the message across that I want to say. So I'm going to leave at that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, leave a thumbs up. Very much appreciated. If you are new, subscribe to my second channel as well. I'll leave a link down below where Wednesday, I will have a new video posted on there. A very interesting one. Yeah, guys, I wish you all a beautiful day, and I hope to see every single one of you in the next video. Bye bye.